All right, what's up, boys and girls? Welcome to another SoulCast. We're back. I'm actually a little surprised that we're able to get an episode up so quickly. I figured I wasn't going to get around to it until after Christmas, at least. But we love you, so we do what we can to try to get these episodes pumped out. So with that, I really don't have much of an intro for this podcast, other than to say that this is a character that you probably don't see very often, and then at least I personally don't have really any knowledge of whatsoever. But the man that I have on today, a fairly well-known name, taking this character to the highest levels, I would say. So with that, I'll just go ahead and introduce him. My guest this time, Reptile. What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
So, pretty excited to have you on because we just had NEC not too long ago, and you had a pretty good showing there. And like I said, you don't see Aeon players very often, so it's nice to see these unused characters get represented on the big stages. So to start off, just for those who might not know, who you are, where you're from, how long you've been playing and stuff like that. Give us like a little bit of a background, like when did you start playing Caliber and all that?
All right. Well, I started with Soul Calibur 2, but it was like only casually. Like one of my friends had it, and I thought it was pretty fun. So after I tried it day one, I decided to buy it right away because like it looked cool, and I don't know, like it was like some new stuff, the fighting game with the weapons and stuff, like projectiles and all that stuff you usually see. I thought it was really interesting, but I never got really competitive with it. It was like casual stuff. I don't even think it was good. And then after that, I never played 3. And then when 4 came out, I picked it up, and I really, really liked it. And but I never played competitively in it. Well, I played online for like the entire time it was out till Caliber 5 came out, and that's pretty much it. I used to play with the randoms a lot, and then I played with better players, and I pretty much leveled up as a player myself. But it was all online, so it didn't really matter. And we all know how like not so hot the online for Caliber 4 was. But anyway, it's pretty much when 5 came out that I decided I really wanted to go go competitively, and I did, and it worked out, and pretty much got me where I'm at today, I could say.
Nice. Now, a little interesting fact that I didn't realize, but English is not your first language, correct?
No, it's not. It's my secondary.
And then what do you speak primarily? I'm guessing French.
French Canadian, yeah.
French Canadian, yeah. So where are you based out of then?
Where I'm at in Canada, you mean?
Yeah, in Canada. Like where, if you were to go to a tournament and rep a town, what town would it be?
It wouldn't really be a town, really. I like to say I'm representing Canada if I
countrywide,
travel to America. Yeah, because like I'm in the province of Quebec in Canada, and when it comes to Caliber here, there's not much going on. Like there was this tournament in Montreal in June, but after that, it kind of was it, There was nothing else. So, I mean, I could say I represent the province of Quebec, but there's only me here, pretty much. Well, there's only me that's left, I could say, because I don't see anyone else that actually travel for Caliber and stuff. So, yeah, I'd rather say I represent Canada.
Fair enough. I have to say that's an interesting perspective whenever I hear that, because whenever you talk to most players who are outside of the United States, whenever they travel, a lot of times, they're traveling to big U.S. tournaments or whatever it is, and they just represent their country. Whatever it is, they just represent their country. But for whatever reason, even though when American players travel overseas or wherever they go, they still like to put that stamp of their city or state on there. They're still representing America, and they still say they're, representing America. But like, especially New Yorkers, they're all about New York. Like, yeah, I'm New York, representing New York. Yeah, I'm American, but whatever. That's secondary. It's New York. It's very interesting because a lot of like French players, I couldn't even tell you where any of the French players are from. Like I could take a guess and probably say maybe Paris or something, but I really don't know. I have no idea. They just say France. That's it. So it's kind of interesting. It's like, well, you could say Quebec, but we're just going to go ahead and say Canada. So how did you end up with Aeon? Older school players might know him as Lizard Man, but like, what made you pick up him? Like, why does he interest you?
Well, he's a lizard, and he's a lizard. He's a reptile, and well, even before, like, I went to online and with the tournaments with like, a nickname and all that stuff. Pretty much like I was known as Reptile, as a gamer name, you could say. Like I used to play, before I played fighting games, I used to play, for example, like shooters like Halo, and you had to enter a name. Even when you play with your friends, like on home console, like not even online. And my friends always knew me as Reptile, and like I love reptiles. Like I just do like, I just do. That's it.
Gotcha.
It's not really deep, but whenever there's a lizard or something like that in a fighting game or in any game, like I'm naturally attracted by it, and I like to go for it. I don't really mind like if it's high tier or not. I just like go with my favorites. And for Soul Calibur, that was when I picked up Soul Calibur 2, Lizardman was actually a secret, you could say, character.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see him right away. So I picked up, I think it was Taki. That was kind of random, but I thought she was cute or something. So I trained with her a bit. But when I unlocked the lizard, I was like, oh hell yeah, this guy's a lizard and he fights. All right, that's my man right there. And I just stuck with him like the whole time.
Nice. That's funny because at first, if I would have had to have taken a guess, I would have for sure thought that the reptile was like a Mortal Kombat reference, but I guess not. You just like lizards.
Yeah.
Nice. So,
well, I used to play Mortal Kombat in the old times, like the one on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, like really the old school ones. And I used to be Reptile in there because I thought he was cool. He was green. He was a ninja. He had like those like sneaky fast moves. He was awesome. But yeah, I pretty much switched my main game to Calibur because it's way more awesome.
Gotcha. Well, with that, I think that's a pretty good segue into actually talking about this character. So, like I opened up with, this is one of the few characters in this game that I have not even touched at all. Like when I watch you playing, like I could take guesses, but I have no idea what you're doing. Like even the inputs. I think the most that I know about this character is that noobs like to mash BBB, and occasionally I'll see a 4A and like that, and I'll recognize it as a 4A, and that's about all I know. So let's start with the good stuff, the good part of him. So when you're playing with this character, what are his strengths? Like, what is your goal? What are you trying to do?
Well, obviously, Aeon has one of the best step kills capabilities in the game, with the infamous 6-6A, that pretty much will kill backstep, all sidestep, and, well, any movement whatsoever that's not a front dash. And people have to learn to respect that move because they will get wrecked if they don't. You can't play the spacing game that much against Aeon. That's against other characters. You still can, but it's harder. But then after that, his ring out capabilities are the strongest in the whole game, the whole cast. So they have to watch out for that too. They get mashed up in the ring out level. They're gonna have to be extra careful because, like, you know, if you add these two things, you can control how you move, so he can freely move around himself and position himself in a better place to ring you out. With 1B Brave Edge, the move that, you know what move this is, right?
I'm doing it right now, so yes. I got the console turned on in front of me, so yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's the attack throw that, it pretty much picks up the opponent and throw him behind them. And then if you make it combo with, for example, 44B AA, it rings out from a pretty ridiculous distance behind him. And also 4B plus K G is even more ridiculous, but you can't use it carelessly because you can ring yourself out if you do it from too close. But yeah, pretty much his strengths are step kill, ring out. I would say he's got above average damage. It's not exactly top tier damage, but it's pretty good. And his guard damage is also above average. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up for his strengths overall.
So let's talk a little bit more about that ring out game, because you mentioned the 1B Brave Edge. Obviously, if he's got his back to the ring, that's dead meat for you. Is there a way to make that ring out in front of him, or is it just completely moves entirely that you're focused on if their back is to the ring?
No, he's got a number of ways to ring out in front of him, but 1B Brave Edge is exclusively to ring out behind him. Mm-hmm. But, in front of him, he's got a few moves, for example, it always ends by 44B AA, because this move, it combos with a lot of his stuff on counter hit, mm-hmm. And when it doesn't decide to randomly whiff, because it does, it just carry him all the way through to the edge. For example, 4B, which is a high that you use for counter hit fishing mostly, can combo. 44B AA can combo and carry him to the edge in front of him. You can also do it with 4A, which is horizontal, and you can do it off 1B, regular 1B counter hit. And you can do it with 33K, which is that huge kick that kicks him, the huge kick that kicks him. But and there's also 66K, which is a tech crouching headbutt. This one is really good because it comes out fast enough at I-16, and it tech crouches really fast, and it rings him out. Pretty much, you can use it. One thing that is good to do is you use a move that is likely to make the other character counterattack on block, for example, 6A, and then you just GI and you headbutt them in the ring out. It's that simple. You can also delay it if you expect a re-GI and headbutt them in the ring out, or use B plus K, which is the drop kick that ring out in front of them from quite a distance. He's got other moves, pretty much everything he's got rings out, everything.
Well, I notice if you don't, you mentioned the 1B, so if you don't do the Brave Edge, it's still useful since you can get the counter hits done in front of him.
Yes.
So I guess it's
not that bad on block either.
Yeah, and so I guess even though 1B Brave Edge doesn't ring out in front of him, the move itself, just 1B, can still ring out in front of him. So I guess it does take care of both avenues in that perspective. I did want to ask you though, since you just kind of brought it up there, to bring us into another topic of safety. A lot of these moves that you're mentioning, I know at least a couple of them are punishable. I'm fairly certain 66K the headbutt is, but 6B, 6A. 4B, 4A. Those, how are those on safety? Is it something that you should kind of pick your moments, or can you kind of spam those?
they're not really all that unsafe at all. I mean, he's got some unsafe stuff, but his ring out tools aren't really that unsafe unless it's 66K. I mean, like 4A safe, and like its range, it's ridiculously bad though. I mean, they really have to be right in your face, like touching distance, and you have to anticipate a step, which happens quite a lot when, you know, let's say they have at least half-life or more, and they have their back against the edge. Sometimes, even when they're at advantage, they're going to try to just, like, you know, sidestep out of the way. And that's when 4A will just kill them for free. But about the unsafety, it's pretty much all safe. 66K is a bit unsafe. And also, there's also 9K, which is a jumping kick, which, like, catches all step. That also rings out. And
that thing rings out? I must be pressing the wrong button. Is it? Wait, am I looking at the right? You're not. When you say 9, you mean up back, right? Up back K.
Up front, but like 8, which is just up kick, also rings them out. But 7, which is the up back, doesn't ring out though. This one just like turn them around.
Oh, okay.
On hit.
I like rarely use
the 2 other ones.
I rarely use the up notation, so I get confused sometimes. Like, wait, which one is which? Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, it's a jump. Okay, I see it. All right, never mind. My confusion is gone. I'm retarded. Okay, continue.
But yeah, his ring out game is pretty ridiculous. Like, there's also wall rising B, which is like an overhead launcher that can be used to get 74 damage combo. With the timing on it is a bit tricky. The combo is wall rising B, back turn B plus K, and 44 B AA. But it's still around 74 damage meterless, which is really good. And if the edge is behind you, they just get ringed out if you don't do anything after wall rising B. And also, I think it's a frame 1 tech crouch, or it's pretty damn close to it. It's really effective to just like duck and do wall rising B. It works.
Gotcha.
So it just works.
So for me, just because I'm trying it right now, the 44 BAA after that is it supposed to register as a combo? Am I just doing it too slow?
After what? After wall rising B?
Yeah, so you said wall rising B and then B plus K and then 44 BAA, right?
Well, when right? do you get back turn B plus K, which is like the roll thing?
Yeah. So I get that, it hits, and then I do 44 BAA, but it's not registering as a combo, so I'm wondering if I'm doing it too slow.
Yeah, it's a bit hard. The thing is, you have to be directly aligned with the other character in a straight line for it to be like absolutely sure to work. Like, let's say you like whiff punish something with wall rising B and are a bit off axis, most likely you will whiff. But since I'm guessing you're in training mode, it shouldn't whiff at all. But the timing is just a bit tricky to get. You just do wall rising B. You have to watch the animation of the other character getting launched, and you time it with back turn B plus K, and then you get like relaunch on the other side, and then you time your 44 BAA correctly, and you get the combo. I mean, if you do it too early, it's air controllable. If you do it too late, it won't register at a combo. It's just a bit tricky, but after a few minutes in the training mode, it's not that.
Gotcha.
It's not that hard at all.
Well, I was asking because the back term B plus K, that is like super easy. Like I haven't missed that once since I got it, but like once I do the 4-4-B, it resets the damage. So I'm wondering if like maybe I'm doing that part too slow or something, or the 4-4-B does that have a special timing, or are you just supposed to do it as quick as you can?
Like I said, it's pretty much like you got to watch the animation, but you only have to delay it a little. And it's supposed to work like every time if you're aligned. But yeah, that's pretty much. It takes a bit of practice, but only a little delay, and you get the whole combo. It's actually there's a way harder combo than that with 33B that deals like over 90 damage meterless, which is like extremely good, like top tier good.
Does that also involve a back turn B plus K roll?
It does. It does.
Is it the same thing? The 4/4 BAA, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's the same thing. But you have to add one move to it. The combo is 33B, back turn B plus K, 8B plus K, 44B AA. But the thing with this move is that most of the time, if it's not aligned, like in a straight line, just like the other one, it won't work. But since it's an 8-way run move, it's never aligned. That's the thing. So you have to input 66-3B to get it.
Gotcha.
But it's really rewarding. You can get it after a few select guard crush moves for like over 90 damage meterless, so you don't have to waste your meter on something unless you have a chance to ring out.
Gotcha.
But it takes a bit of practice, but it's really rewarding once you get it down.
So outside of those situations that you just mentioned where you get that guard crush or whatever it may be, do you ever throw out 3/3B by itself, or do you usually reserve it for those certain situations?
The thing is, I could say, oh, by the way, I forgot about that. When I was talking about Aeon's strengths in general,
mm-hmm.
I forgot to say whiff punish, which is pretty much his main game besides ring out, because like his backstack is monstrous and his sidestep is okay, I guess. But why am I saying that now? Because usually when you sidestep something or backstep something, you use 3B to whiff punish, so you get a neat 63 damage for free. But when you sidestep something, you can also use 33B, which gives more damage if you just turn around and do 44B AA, and you also get the damage from the landing on the ground after 33B. It gives something around 77 damage or something. But, so yeah, the use for 33B is pretty much post guard break after you 8-way run something, or when you want to get a ring out and have no meter for 1B Brave Edge, a ring out behind you, it rings out really far behind you too. 33B into 44B AA. And also, one of its best use, and it's really important, it's post GI. If you expect them to re-GI, you just do 66-3B, and you get that full 90-something damage combo, meterless.
Yeah, I know.
That's really good.
That's one thing that I did pick up pretty quick on, is that if you do a quick forward dash, the 663 you just mentioned, that you can do 8-way run moves.
Yes.
3 or 9 moves, and that's one thing that I see a lot of newer players forgetting about or not using. Because when they see a 3/3 move or something off of sidestep, they automatically assume that they have to sidestep to do it. But because I play Cervantes, that it's really useful for him too, because he can do. I mean, his 3/3B is really really good as well. So
yes.
So yeah.
Good. Aeon has a lot of use for it too. Like for example, 66-1K, which is a sweep. It's really good to do it sometime like without stepping first, because it becomes like quite easy to block if you do the quick step thing before 11K. You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So new players, take note. Do that 6-6 before you get there. What were we? I had another question. Can't remember. Oh yeah, we were talking about safety. So you mentioned that not a lot of his moves are really bad on the safety side of it, but you also at the same time said that his main thing is whiff punishing. So aside from doing 3/3B, like what and obviously 3B, I know his 3B has good range as well. Is it mostly just 3B, or what other cool stuff are you trying to do off of whiff?
Pretty much his best whiff punishment tools are 6-6A, because it comes out fast and goes quite a distance. Then there's 3B, because it pretty much you can input it pretty like naturally and it deals a lot of damage. If you have more time to punish a whiff, and it also goes farther, it's 6-6B, okay? That deals almost 70 damage. It's like 68 or something, and it cleans it kind of often for like 82 or something. It's pretty good. And what else? There's definitely more. Well, 1B Brave Edge is the move to go whenever they whiff and they're really close to you, because, for example, you step to BB or something. Mm-hmm. You just like 1B Brave Edge and take your 90 damage for free, or your free win, because it's a ring out like half of the time if you position yourself correctly. And it's pretty much 3B, 6-6A, 6-6B, 1B Brave Edge, and I'm guessing I'm probably forgetting something.
Do you? I know the range is pretty bad on it, but are you ever using 4A as a whiff punishing tool, or is that mostly to try to catch people stepping or something like that?
Nah, the range is way too bad for that. It's like, I mean, it can happen if you step like, I don't know, like Pira's 6B or something, like in her face. But I mean, unless it's for a ring out and you're extremely close to him, you want to go for max damage, right? Mm-hmm. And it's always going to be 3B, and it's always going to be 1B Brave Edge, 6-6B, 3B, 6-6A, in that order. Like, you want the more damage you can get, right?
Gotcha. All right. Well, okay. So if whiff punishing is his main game, then let's talk about how you set up those whiffs. You already mentioned that his movement is really good because he can restrict you with the 6-6A, and then he himself has a good back step, and then all you have to do is have either a good side step or a good back step, and then as long as the other one is at least average, that gives you really good movement. So what sorts of moves or setups are you doing to try to get people to whiff?
Absolutely everything that's safe. That it depends on your opponent's behavior and the character they're using. But
okay.
I mean,
well, with that, since you kind of opened the door a little bit, let me just throw one out there. What about like a character like Natsu, somebody who's ultra fast, who's trying to stay in your grill, and just it's offense the entire match? Like, how are you trying to get away from that?
Well, Natsu's a good example. I mean, as long as she's not doing 6-6B, which you can sidestep, or 6-6K, which you can punish, and quite hard with 6B Brave Edge, it's pretty easy to backstep everything she does at any range, and whiff punish her with like 3B. For example, pretty much 6A is a really good move for that. Just a little poke to the face thing. It's -4 unblocked, which is pretty much the best frame Aeon has to offer on any of his moves, because his frame game is one of his weaknesses. It's pretty bad overall. And whatever she's going to do after that, if she tries to counterattack, and it's not one of the two moves I said, it's gonna be whiffing, and you can just launch her for free. And also, Aeon's close range game is not so hot. Like, he doesn't really have a real BB. He has 4K as a decent replacement, but its range, it's kind of lacking. But, I mean, it's the reason why some quick characters will try to interrupt you at, like, +2. Those kind of frames. And instead of, like, trying to, like, 2A or something, you can just backstep. Whatever they try to do, backstep at advantage actually works with Aeon. Backstep after everything. Like, a lot of his moves have really good pushback, like 668, 6K. What else? 66A plus B, which you shouldn't be throwing out like all the time, but it has really good pushback. If they try to retaliate like right away, if they don't pick their move carefully, there's a good chance you can sidestep after it. I mean, backstep, I'm sorry. Like pretty much everything. Whenever you're around negative 6, 2, 4, or positive like 2, you might want to backstep. Pretty much how it is. And if they're catching on and they're throwing out things like Patroclus 66B, for example, you can just like, if you see it coming, you can sidestep and whiff punish with like 1B Bravage. Like his whiff punishment is so good because it's so instant. Like as soon as they whiff something, you can deal like a third of their life right away with 1B Bravage. So it's pretty much how it works.
Gotcha. So I do, this is more of a metagame question, but since his backstep is so good, but, you know, he's good at controlling the space and stopping you from moving, you know, with tools like 66A and whatnot. When they made the change with the backstep, you know, the window for being able to block, did that, do you think that helped him or hurt him, or do you think that it kind of evened out, balanced out?
Well, I think it was a double-edged sword, you could say, because his backstep is still as good as it was, but you can't block for what I think is 20 frames. Like it's an unsafe movement, like any other character. But the thing is, if you place your backstep correctly, it's supposed to be intended to make something whiff. So there shouldn't be a problem.
Gotcha.
But
it helped. But as the Aeon player, it should help you because hopefully you can kind of get those counter hits or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah. I was getting to that. When they are backstepping, it's horrible for them. For example, if you fight against a character like Nightmare, who does nothing but backstepping and trying to launch you with 3B, for example, pretty much like Aeon does, you just do like 6-6A and will counter hit them every time. Like, it's pretty easy to make that move hit if they're not really careful, because whenever they move, at advantage or not, they will get counter hit by this thing. Like all the time, especially now that they can't block when they're backstepping for 20 frames. It's really easy to make that thing, like, it made 6-6A really powerful. Like, it's one of the best moves in the game. I'm just going to be honest here. 6-6A and both 6-6A and 1B Bravage are pretty ridiculous in Soul Calibur 5. It's not broken, but it's extremely good. It's extremely good. They have to respect these moves. They have to. Whatever their player level's at, they really have to respect it. And, so like I said, it became a little bit harder to backstep, but it became a lot harder for them to backstep. So I guess it's good overall. It's okay. It's all right. It's balanced, I could say.
Yeah, I guess
pretty dangerous word to throw out, but
yeah, that's but based on what you said, I mean that makes a lot of sense to me because in the long run, if you're playing his game the way it's supposed to be playing, you shouldn't. The goal isn't to have to block after you backstep. You should be forcing whiffs. So the whole backstep window shouldn't even enter into the equation. But it makes his moves, like 6-6A, so much better. But so with that, I was going to ask because you already talked about his damage, whiff punishing, a big part of his game. I did want to ask about his Okizeme because after you get that whiff, you mentioned his damage. His damage is pretty good once he hits you. Once they hit the ground, does he have a big or good mix-up game that's really scary, or do you typically, I don't know, hang out at a certain range and just try to play the whiff game again and just try to go right back into that?
Well, when you score a knockdown, you don't want to get away from them to like reset the distance, like some character wants to do from like maybe Hilda or Siegfried or some of them. But well, Aeon is not great at hitting people on the ground. Like he's got like 2B and 2K which deals like 14 damage or something, and he's got 6B, which is pretty decent at it, but it's like negative 21 by itself, so they can just like get up and block it. And he's got 11K, which is decent enough move, but if you go by the numbers, it's pretty bad. It's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's I-25. It deals like 20 damage with a follow-up that does like 31. And I mean like 31 total. And it's pretty slow, and it's non-punishable. It's like negative 23 or something. And it's also a two-run move. But yeah, Aeon's not too good at that. But what he's good at is standing mix-ups. Like when you know they're going to just stand up, he's extremely strong because he's got one of the best like grab mid-attack mix-ups in the game. You know, because his mid-moves are so like instant and powerful, like his 3B, for example, and his 1B Brave Edge. Like, you can just run at him and grab them, and if you notice they like to twitch jock, you can just run at them and throw mids for like quarter life at least. And you can pretty much what you call the throw vortex. You can just like throw them, and you know they're going to attack. To avoid like ground damage, you just run at them and throw them again. And then you just run at them, and they get pissed and they want to duck. So you just like 1B Brave Edge. And at this point, if you threw them twice and 1B Brave Edge them, chances are you're going to win this round. Like, he's really good at the grab mid mix-up. And when they're on the ground and they're getting up, that's when you're doing that. And you can do it like really well after any of his grabs. You can also, if they like to roll, when they happen to have their head in front of you on the ground, you can 44K attack throw them. The thing that will, you know, pretty much like eat their head off, kinda. That's pretty satisfying to get. But
so he's not trying to get people to duck by spamming lows or having like a really good low. It's mostly just using throws then.
Yes, he's really good at throws though. Like he's super good at them because, you know, the 6-6A thing, it will often make people freeze because they know they can't move unless they try to like interrupt you with something really fast. They will like stand block or like just go towards you and block because the 6-6A is so intimidating, and that's when you can like rush him and throw him. And if they duck, you can rush them and launch them. Like, it's really simple, but really effective. Yeah. And you can make it work every time you score a knockdown, unless they start rolling. But yeah, when they roll, it's more complicated. Unless you can set it up so the 44 attack roll works, rolling is viable against Aeon, because his ground hits are pretty bad compared to his standing mix-ups. I could say it that way.
Okay, so I guess we can kind of take this from both perspectives. But so if you're playing against Aeon, you'll want to roll against him. It sounds like that's his best option. Now, if you encounter that as the Aeon player, what would you do then?
You mean if they roll?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they try to roll or just roll out of it.
Well, it depends on each situation, but I mean, he doesn't have many options. Like I said, for example, if you do 3B into 6-6K as a staple launcher combo, if they air control back, you don't have much you can do. It's pretty much the thing you have to do if you get hit by that. But if they don't air control back, 44K will track them wherever they go, and you will get the attack throw off the ground if they try to roll after getting hit by the combo. And if they don't, when they just roll, 6-6B is a gamble. It does a lot of damage on the ground. It's like 34 damage or something. Like, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's risky too because they can just stand up blocking. But if they fear it and you know they're going to stand up blocking, you can rush and grab them like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not really an effective counter strategy. If they just like roll, you can rush and 66 1K, try to like get in their head and mix them up a little. Usually people get hit by that even though it's so slow. And it gives you access to the 33K, 11K mix up. It's a really weird one. Like the big kick thing that does 70 damage with the combo.
Yeah.
You would wonder why the hell would someone get hit by that. But actually, if you just 8-way run next to their like rolling corpse on the ground and you 11K a few times and they get hit, then you randomly throw out a 33K and they will duck it because, I don't know, I guess it kind of looks like 11K, but not really. But it really works. It really works.
Yeah, that sounds more like a mind game than anything. Like they're just so scared that they're looking for the 1K, so it just kind of freezes them for that just long enough for that the 33K to hit.
Yeah. It's pretty unsafe though. I mean, you can't really get any damage if they're rolling if he's not taking risks. Like, he has to do 2B and 2K. That's pretty much it. If you want to get more damage, you have to take risk by doing 11K and 6-6B. And then you can go into mix-ups. But if they stand up, which most, I'm going to say, like, good players do, because usually you don't want to be rolling on the ground too much, they're going to be in for a lot of pain because his throw mid-mix-up is really, really good. But rolling gives them a bit of problem, if done properly, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's see. There's some. Oh yeah, grabs. So we're talking about the Oki game, and you're talking about how his grabs are really good. Now, just looking at his regular grabs, the A and B, they seem like they don't leave your opponent too far, which is always a good thing if your goal is to run up and have them eat a mix-up. Is there anything like really special aside from that, or after you throw, is it just go right back into that throw mid-mix-up?
After what?
After his regular throws, like after you throw them, are there any like special things or special setups that you're trying to go for, or are you just trying to do the simple run-up 50-50 sort of mix-up again that you were talking about with the mids and the grabs?
I usually go for run-up 50-50, which is the mid-grab thing, which is 3B, 1B Brave Edge, and the grabs, and also the command grab, which deals more damage and is a bit harder to escape, which is 2-1-4 B plus G. But also sometimes you want to damage the guard gauge. You want to try to do that when they're grounded. If you expect them to like get up, block in, you can set up like a 6K hold, for example, which breaks in 6. It's actually like 6 point something. But the point is that it breaks the guard pretty damn fast, and it's also plus 15 on block. So it's a pretty good move to have them block or even hit, because it's like 60-something damage on hit with a huge chance of cleaning it. But besides regular like throws and mid mix-ups, you can set up guard damage like 66 A plus B or B plus K, which is a high, but it's pretty hard to duck on reaction, unless you like fight Aeon 24/7. But 6K is really good. For example, you throw someone with A grab, and then you expect them to tech or just get up, holding the block button. You can like do 6K hold and deal a lot of guard damage and be a plus 15. Like it's just guardable on reaction, but you got to train to do it. It's pretty hard, and it's also a bit risky because like it deals a lot of damage. But it's definitely doable. But after some setups, for example, if you do 11K, you can't tech out of 11K. So there's a mind game. There's a mind game after 11K because you can't tech out of it. If you try to roll, 44K will catch you for the attack roll. If you don't try to roll, you open yourself for the mid grab mix-up, or the 6K hold is extremely hard to just guard in that situation. If you do 6K hold after 11K on hit, it's extremely hard. But if I come back to the grab thing, I know that if you get the A grab and they don't tech, you can get the attack roll if they try to roll, 44K. And that's pretty much it. I mean, all of his grabs, I mean, his regular front grabs, A grab and B grab can be teched out of, and they will often try to tech back and try to move right away. If you know they're doing that, you can grab them in 66A after that, and it will work. It works pretty good. But it's pretty much it. He's a pretty simple character, so not a lot of like frame traps and mix-ups. Pretty much grabs and mids. That's all it comes down to.
Well, hey, for that, oddly enough, a lot of characters in this game seem to kind of fall into that category where they're pretty simple, and they just it just requires you to work their game properly. But there's not really a lot of I guess options, if you want to say. Like you're mostly sticking to a small set move list, if you will. I was going to ask that really the only other thing that I can think of for question-wise, there's actually two things. Meter management, which we've kind of talked about a little bit. It sounds like most of the time you're going to reserve your bar for the 1B Brave Edge. Does that sound right? Or do you actually try to incorporate some of his other stuff, like his CE or anything like that?
Well, first of all, CE is the worst in the game. I think it's -25, and it's notorious for the second part of it whiffing randomly, the flamethrower part. Nice. Because it's not an actual attack roll. It's like a bunch of unblockables after they tech, and it can actually be like tech roll JG, but yeah, it's pretty unlikely. But anyway, and it does like 70 damage. Like it's weaker than his Brave Edges for twice the meter. And it's pretty unsafe. Like the only reason to use a CE would be after his launchers. For example, 3B or 33B. If you use the CE there, you'll get around 99 damage, 99 to 101, which is better than like 63 from the regular 3B 66K. It's definitely worth it, but it's a lot of meter because like 1B Bravage can win rounds like on a good read, like just like that. Like usually is meter management, you should save it for 1B Bravage to ring out people, or just get like instant super damage and really good OK. Because after 44K attack throw, you get really good OK, which you use after the 1B Bravage as a combo. And GIs are also pretty good with Aeon, because whenever you can use it to ring out people. Again, if they're next to the edge, you can set up GIs at like few negative frames. You think they're going to counterattack. You can just like GI and 66K, or GI and B plus K. B plus K is a pretty fun move to use after GIs when they have their back against the edge. Because if they try to re-GI, it will ring them out. And it also ring out for quite far. And if they don't try to re-GI, they're most likely going to block it, which is still going to leave you at +3 with them against the edge. So yeah, the most important part, and also if you get a GI and you think they're going to re-GI the 663B combo I talked about earlier, which is really good. It's like almost half-life, meter less. Like, it's ridiculously good.
Nice. So for all intents and purposes, you're either doing 1B Brave Edge or GI. You don't really want to mess with anything else?
1B Brave Edge. Well, like I said, the CEUs are really situational. Oh, damn, this word's pretty hard to say. But 6B Brave Edge is pretty good, too. Because, like, it's not a move you want to throw out like that because it gets, like, stepped or GI'd, the last part, or JG'd. It's pretty bad to throw out just like that. But it's I-15, and it's a really good low punisher. For example, Patroclus 1K or Pyrrhus 1K get punished by 6B Brave Edge, and the move deals 65 damage on its own and rings out behind Aeon, too, and also above high walls. And you get a mix-up after it as, let's say you land 6B Brave Edge. Delayed 6-6A is a tech trap that it will deal around 100 damage if you get it. And if they don't tag, 4B plus KG will hit them on the ground. So it's a pretty good move to use as a low punisher or as a JG punish. If you just guard something that leaves them around anything that's like not -18, because if you JG something at -18, and that puts them at -18 or more, you want to use 1B Brave Edge. But if it's not -18, for example, like Pyrrha's 6-6B Brave Edge, like everyone just guards that. And it leaves her at, I think it's -17. So 1B Brave Edge won't work here, but 6B Brave Edge will.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So it's very
how you use it.
Gotcha. So for the most part, you want to stick to saving your meter for 1B Brave Edge, and then maybe an occasional GI. But in certain situations, the 6B Brave Edge is really good.
Yeah, and the CE in some situations.
I'm guessing those are even more rare than the 6B Brave Edge situation.
They come up, though. Like, for example, you're in the very last round, the 5th round, and you're sitting on a lot of meter, and you manage to land either 3B or Wall Rising B, or even 1B Brave Edge. You can add the CE to it for the extra damage. But, oh yeah, also, another reason why I said the CE is the worst is because it leaves them at negative frames on hit, which means pretty much you have to block when they're getting up after the CE, or you can backstep and with punish. It actually works too if they know about it and they try to like get up wall rising like B or like regular wall rising B, let's say like Mitsurugi or Pyrrha's or Patroclus or something like that. You can usually backstep after the CE on hit if they're just like mashing something out because they know you shouldn't be attacking after that. And he's also unsafe after some move. For example, 1B Brave Edge into CE deals about half-life, 119 or something, but he's stabbable after that. Like he can get stabbed for it on hit. So it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, that sounds pretty silly. You're using a full bar, and I mean, you're getting damage, yeah, but then they just take it right back.
That's why I said you want the CE. You want to use it like in the very last round, or if you're not sure you're going to win a round and you want to have a better chance of closing it, or actually close it, you might want to use it. Also, a CE gets like nerfed by the guts effect. So yeah, when they're in the yellow zone, it's even weaker than it usually is, and it usually does like 72 damage, so it's like 50 or something. But anyway, it has its occasional use.
Yes.
That's all I can say about it.
All right. Well, the second question that I was going to ask is whether like how his poking game was, because I mean you mentioned a couple things like 2B, 2K. And, pretty much everybody has a 2A. But well, other than that, like I guess 6.6A, you kind of use that as a poke. But I have to say that it's probably a little slower than you would consider most pokes to be. But aside from that, do you really care about poking that much when you play with Aeon? Is it really a big concern?
Yes.
It is?
It is.
Okay.
His poke game is pretty ridiculous because if you count 6.6A as a poke, well, I already talked about it. It's pretty good. And then he's got a lot of counter hitting fishing moves like 4B and 1B, regular 1B. And those moves deal a lot of damage on counter hit. Like 4B on counter hit combos with 6B Brave Edge for about something between 70 and 80 damage, and it's I-14. Like it's really good. And like 6K is pretty good to throw outs like that. And his moves are pretty good, and his pokes are pretty good in general. Like 6A, 6K, AA, 6.6A, 4B, 1B, 4K, 22K. Everything's pretty good because you can, if they try to do like a quick low range move like AA or something to retaliate, most of the time you can backstep or sidestep. You just have to figure them out. Like, is he going to use like, if he uses BB, a sidestep. If he uses AA, a backstep. Like, I can also GI, I can also like tech crouch. It's good to use like, let's say 6.6A into 6.6K, for example. It's a risk. But I mean, if they try to throw you or AA you back, like you just scored like 52 damage counter hit or something. Like, it's really good. His poke game is pretty good. That's what I could say.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, just a little quick move that leads to pretty beefy juggle damage. I mean, granted, you need to get the counter hit, but I mean, realistically, there's not going to be a move out there that's insanely quick, is safe, and yields tons of damage. I mean, those moves are very rare. So getting 2 out of the 3, pretty good, I would say.
That's because they're safe too.
Yeah.
Like 4B and 1B, they deal good damage on counter hit, but they're also, I think they're -8 and -6 respectively, or at least it's close to that. And even if it gets blocked, you can like, it has pushback and not so bad frame, so you can backstep or sidestep and do it again and make him block it and keep moving all the time. Like most of the time you want to try something with Aeon because he gets really good rewards off good reads. Really, really good. He gets better rewards trying to take risks moving around and get whiff punishes than just like stand and block, because his block punishment game is horrible. It's bad. It's terrible. I mean, he's got decent punishers like AA. 6.6K is not too easy to pull off on some moves, but it's doable. And 3B punishes like really unsafe moves. For example, Mitsurugi's 6.6BB. But I mean, a lot of the time he is out of range to punish. For example, against Natsu, she's got like her whole move list is safe against him. Like 90% of her moves is safe. Like for example, 6BB is completely safe on block against Aeon. He can't do anything, even though it's like -17. AABBB, no, it's just AAB. It's completely safe against Aeon too. And 6.6AB, it's also completely safe against Aeon. That's why he wants to move around when he can. If he's not too negative on frames, he wants to try to take a guess, unless you want to play it really, really safe. But if you do that, you won't get any damage. That's the thing. He's a risky character, but he's really rewarding too when you get used to how he's supposed to be played, I could say.
Gotcha. So with that, it kind of sounds like he would be a character that that most people could pick up. I mean, not necessarily be insanely good, but at least they could pick him up fairly quickly and get used to him fairly quickly, because a lot of uh, God, what's the best way to phrase this? A lot of the complexity in certain characters that makes them a little harder to pick up than others has to do with the block punishing and knowing frames, knowing what you can get here and what you can get there. Like if you take Pyrrha, for example, like a Pyrrha player who knows those block frames and knows when they can get a stab and knows when they can't is going to be better than somebody who just stabs, which just out of everything. They just try to stab everything. But with Aeon, since you don't really have to worry about that block punishing as much, it doesn't seem like you need to know it doesn't seem like you need to have that encyclopedia in your head of all that character.
Well, it's better if you do, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. It always helps you. Of course. But it sounds like, at least for people who are looking for maybe a good starter character to kind of get them used to the game, that Aeon might be a good choice. Because you can kind of get the feel for the Yomi games, the 50-50 stuff, and kind of setting up and moving around, and kind of the fundamentals. Like a lot of people consider block punishing fundamentals. I actually don't. I think that you have to have a lot of knowledge to be good at block punishing. So I actually don't consider that a fundamental. Mm-hmm. I just think punishing in general is a fundamental, but I don't know. I'm based on the way that you just described it. It sounds like that's the kind of character he is. That you don't necessarily need all that character knowledge. It's a lot more basic. So the better you are at your fundamentals, the better you're going to be with him. I don't know if you agree with that. That just was a random observation based on what you just said.
Well,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Finish what you wanted to say. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was actually it. I was just gonna ask you if you had anything else to add.
All right, I'm sorry. Well, I could say Aeon's overall is a fairly simple character. He's like I said, if you could say Aeon in a nutshell, that would be 6/6 throws and 3B and 1B brave edge. Like that would be it, pretty much. Like even if you don't like block punish some stuff, you could with AA and stuff, you can still win, because like the throw game and 3B, like it deals a lot of damage, and like mix-ups work on everyone. Like grabs are a 50-50 on everyone and anyone, and if they try to duck because they're tired of getting thrown, they will get launched if you guess correctly. And also, as 3B is fairly safe. I forgot to say that. That's what makes it so godlike, because like it's only -14 on block for 63 damage, which is pretty much one of the best risk reward you've got in the entire cast for the staple launchers. It's not the best, but it's one of the best. Like Survey's better, for example. But anyway. If you keep it simple, you can win at intermediate levels, like pretty easily with mid launchers and throw mix-ups and 6/6 and good defense. But at higher levels, you got to move, and learning to move properly is a bit harder. Like it's not super hard, but it's a bit harder. You got to know like the options the other characters got in general. Like, yeah, I know this move will whiff. Like most of his moves will whiff at that situation by my backstab, unless he does that one move. I think he's going to do it. I'm going to sidestep instead, or try to just guard, for example. But he's really simple to pick up. And if you have good movement in general, he's going to be really good real quick. Like I think this character is really good. I'm not going to talk about how he would be placed in some tier lists, but
definitely
he's
would.
A really good
definitely
character, and he's easy to use.
Gotcha.
Like I said, on high level, he's a bit harder because you got to move properly and place. Like if you're predictable with 6/6, it's launch punishable on just guard, and it's fairly easy to just guard. If you know it's coming, it's really easy to just guard, and it will be coming very often. So you got to be careful. but he's pretty simple at lower levels,
Gotcha.
I could say.
Well, that sounded like probably the best summary of any character I've heard of so far. So I mean, that sounds like a good moment to end the character discussion. So, kind of to wrap it up, I mean, I'll open it to you. Was there anything that we didn't talk about with this character that you think people should pay attention to?
I feel that there's a lot we didn't talk about because I keep forgetting about all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I could say I talked a little, but I want to say that Aeon's just guarding game is probably one of the best in the game. Like if you're good enough at just guarding, for example, like strings or just guarding stuff on reaction, or just like even like random just guarding, sometimes you just want to like AA on block into just guard, like just like quick tap guard because you know they're going to try to retaliate with something fast. It's really good with Aeon because he gets that instant damage. Like most of the things you just guard that aren't AA or BBs are 1B Bravage punishable. And that's either, if you position yourself correctly, you just make it so, in ring out level, of course, you just make it so the edge is always behind you, but you don't go sit right next to it and wait. That doesn't work. Well, sometimes it works, but usually it doesn't. But you just arrange yourself so the edge is somewhere behind you, and you can sit there and try to just guard something on reaction, like anyone 6-6A or 6-6B is pretty much 1B Bravage punishable. Not Patroclus, though, because he's, 6-6B is pretty cheap. But anyway. So his just guard game is really good. Whenever 1B Bravage doesn't work, 6B Bravage will. And it's still a lot of damage with mind game options after that. And 3B works, like if you're out a meter or anything, 3B works like more than like 3/4 of the time. And in general, his just guard game is really strong if you use it. If you can use it, that is. Just guarding is the same for every character, but I mean, he's got really good options to like use it effectively, I could say.
Gotcha. Well, you have the mic for as long as you would like it. You know, you're the expert here. So if there's anything that you want to keep talking about with this character, I mean, going into the podcast, when I started up these, I let everybody know, this is, it's like kind of like a radio show. You can only get so much in, and inevitably we're going to miss something. It happens. Characters are a lot deeper than we could we could ever really talk about in just an hour or so. But I mean, if there's anything, I will never stop a guest from talking. So if there's more that you want to talk about with this character, by all means, keep going.
Well, like I said, I feel like there's some stuff I probably didn't explain properly or didn't even talk about, but I can't figure it out. I mean, I can't think about what it could be, but I know it's out there. But what I could say is, I said in a nutshell, 6-6A, 3B, 1B Brave Edge, but I also am of the opinion that all of his moves have some use, and it can be more confusing if you can use them all. Like, I don't think Aeon has any useless moves. Like, he has some pretty close to useless ones. Like, BBB, for example, isn't useless. I forgot to say that don't throw it out on block because it's terrible. You can get it JG'd or stabbed or interrupt by, like, Natsu or whatever. But it's pretty good to whiff punish. Like, whenever you move around and they, like, slash the air, you can just, like, mash BBB and get, like, your 52 damage. It's pretty easy. It also has a tiny bit more range than 3B, so that's the use for this move. But, I think all of his moves have some use if you look into it. Also, I didn't talk about the infamous 1B Brave Edge into Unblockable Trap.
Okay, so what is this?
That does 140 damage with like clean hit chance for like 30 more damage, which is pretty much an auto win thing. But yeah, the way you get out of that is that you have to tech after you get hit by 1B Brave Edge and just like walk away from it. It's that easy. But if you don't tech because you forgot, because sometimes what happens is that, you know, the animation for 1B Brave Edge is so long that people, like, they hate getting hit by that because it deals a lot of damage or it rings you out. And they just go like, oh. And then, like, they look somewhere else or something. When as soon as you see them do that offline, you know the unblockable is going to work. You're like in your head, all right, they're not taking this. They're not taking it. You do the unblockable, they can't get away from it. Because if you forget to tech, you get hit by it. You can't escape it any longer. You also got like tech traps to deal with it, like 1A. 1A is an delayed 1A is a all catch tech trap after 1B Brave Edge. But it doesn't deal much more damage than the regular combo, which is a 1B Brave Edge 4-4K, which is guaranteed. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out about the unblockable trap that some people learn to hate.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I think that I saw you nail that at least once at NEC. We're pretty dirty. But hey,
I mean, if they don't know, the thing about Aeon is that he's a pretty underrated character, and whatever your level as a Soul Calibur player is, if you didn't study this matchup at least a bit, I mean, not really study, but if you don't know what he's capable of, and the Aeon like knows his game, he knows everything he can do and can apply it, it's going to be like super hard to win. Like if you don't know what 66A can do, how good his ring out game is, and his little like gimmicks, yeah, dude, you just don't put the chance on your side. Like you don't want to do that. I just want to say he's an underrated character. He's definitely not like one of the best, but he's a good character.
Gotcha.
He
can win. That's all that matters, right?
oh yeah, he can win. He can definitely win against any other character out there.
So so real quick, real quick, since you kind of opened the door there a little bit. Does he have any bad matchups? Like any characters that he just completely struggles against?
The thing is, I'm not sure if it's me struggling or him. But with like the numbers and pretty much the way that they fight, I would say that Ivy's a bad matchup for him. Ivy is kind of annoying. And Siegfried also, yeah, Siegfried is pretty bad for Aeon. Like, it's completely winnable on a few good guesses and you still win because he has high damage. He has really high damage, Aeon. But, Siegfried's base hold? Mm-hmm. You know how it works? Well, it completely wrecks 66A for, like, half-life. And, his step killing is pretty good. He has trouble against backstab, though. Siegfried has trouble against backstab in general. That's the strong point. But, Siegfried is pretty good at getting ring outs in front of him. So if you sit next to the edge, you might get ringed out instead of ringing him out. And if you try to grab him too much, you'll get punished like really bad because Wall Rising B is good, really good.
Yeah, I remember Partisan talking about that. He likes to get while standing beat a lot, but to each their own. We all have our little problems that we have to overcome. So I guess that's just one of them. So I guess just real quick on the flip side, does he have any matchups that he's just really good? Like it's almost effortless for him to win?
If you play it right, Nightmare is pretty easy to beat with Aeon because, Nightmare, he likes to move a lot, and 66A will wreck him till he understands he can't move that much. And when he does, everything he does is, when he does stop moving, and he just like sits there and throw attacks and block. Like he's pretty unsafe in general. Like Aeon can punish him pretty well, surprisingly. And like the Grimstride A, Nightstance K, all that stuff can be punished by 6B Brave Edge. His 3AA can be punished by 3B. And AGA in general can be like, there's a really good move I didn't talk about. It's 4B plus K, which is a long-range tech crouch move. It tech crouches and then hit them from quite the distance. It's really good against moves like AGA. And, like, he can't move around really much. He gets punished bad. And his stance is pretty useless against him because whenever you block 3B as Aeon, you can just wall rising B or 6-6K. And in 90% of the situations, it will hit. Like, wall rising B will launch him. Whenever he does anything else than Nightstance A plus B, the mid one. And 6-6K pretty much kills everything he does because it's faster and tech crouches. So, Nightmare has a hard time against Aeon. But, I could say in general, it's everything is pretty, I'm going to dare say that, fair. Everything is pretty fair. Like, the quick characters give him a hard time, like Natsu, Leisha. I could even say, like, Pyrrha or Patroclus because they're kind of quick and they have good frames. And these characters kind of own Aeon at close range, but they whiff really easily. That's the thing against him.
Gotcha. Yeah, got people talking in the background. Got some stuff going on.
They are.
That's okay. We do this live. What's up? Anyway.
Hell yeah.
Cool. With well, man, that's all I got. So yeah, anything else that you want to add on this character?
Not really. I mean, I hope it was understandable.
I would certainly hope so. I mean, we went over a lot of stuff, and it's not one of those things where it's supposed to be insanely comprehensive. It's more of like, whenever I do these, when I first started to get into these, I told everybody, this isn't a strategy guide or anything like that. It's just kind of hearing from the pros, so to speak, the people who actually play these characters and make them work. And just so that you can kind of hear what the mindset is, for these kind of characters, and especially with a character like Aeon, because there's not a lot of people that play him, and fortunately, you are one of the people that play him, and you've actually shown that he's tournament viable, that you can definitely win with him. So with that, it's one thing to be a book warrior, and like know all these things about the character, but it's a completely different thing to be able to apply them. So like you said, there's it sounds like you're one of those people who believes that you should use as many moves as you possibly can. That sort of thing. Every move has a purpose, sort of mentality. But obviously we can't go over every single move that a character has. But just hearing how you incorporate these moves into how you play, that's the whole point of this. So with that, I think that you did a pretty good job of that, if I can say so myself. But so I mean, again, if there's anything more that you want to add, I mean, you're more than welcome to. But otherwise, I think we did a good job. I think we got a lot of information out there, and it's supposed to be a starting point, for all of you newer players out there who are looking to get into Aeon, or maybe you're having a little trouble playing against him. Maybe this can help you out, give you a little insight into the character. So yeah, if you're good, if you can't think of anything else to add, I think we're okay. I think we did a good job. So with that, I do like to give my guest, the last word. But before I do that, since you are a newbie to this podcast, I do have a little section at the end where I like to kind of make my guest rant a little bit. I mean, you don't seem like you're too hyped of a guy, who gets really angry at things. But for a little bit, I want you to do that. I want you to let it go. I want you to break the chains off. I want you to I just want you to rant and rave about something. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't even have to be gaming or Caliber related. But I want you to get on your soapbox, and I want you to tell all of our listeners something that angers you. Go.
That's a good question. I mean, if we keep it Caliber related, because it's outside of that, not really much, that would be, I guess, some of the stuff that happens online sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think online is a very viable tool for training, and it's, like everyone knows, it's pretty good in Soul Calibur 5. As long as you stick with the better connections, it's really, really useful to learn matchups and how the characters fight, at least a general idea. But, when you play, like, random people on, like, Ranked or anything, and they just do annoying stuff like disconnect, or, like, you randomly lose to a random online scrub, and they just, like, leave the room, and they leave you salty, and that's pretty bad.
So I take it you don't play ranked very often then.
Now, I used to play it a lot, and ranked was really good for me in the beginning because the first few months, I would dare say people were taking it seriously. Not like the top player, like the big names that are known, but I mean, people were trying their hardest and trying to win with a lot of different characters. So I would be like, okay, you can do that and that strategy. So whenever I would lose or have a hard time, I would step back from ranked, go into training, and make the dummy do that same setup and figure out whatever I can do against it. And I would do that like every 2-3 games till I had a really good idea of how I could fight in every matchup with my own character. So I thought ranked was really good for that. But once you're done with the matchup knowledge, you better stick with, you would make like good players as friends, either on 8-way run, or if you know whoever's good and you just like play with them in private rooms and stuff, it's more beneficial, I would guess, than playing randoms, unless you're just feeling like trolling or something. So yeah, pretty much online can be annoying at times, even though it's good. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat. I started when the game first came out. Like I was so impressed by the connection that I played ranked a bunch. But pretty quickly, like I really hate when I can't get my salty run back. Like I hate it so much. So when like every time I would lose, I'd be so mad because I couldn't get that person again. And it's like no.
Yeah. Sometimes someone like he's not really that good, or like he might be good, but like if you played with him like 100 times, you'd win like maybe 4 times. But you met him that one time and he happened to win, and then you never see him again. Like that's really annoying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really, and like I'm not somebody who really cares about my rank or whatnot. Like I thought, for whatever reason, when the game first came out, I was like, oh, cool, ranked. I can just keep ranking up and I keep playing better and better people, and that's like not the case at all. So, like instead, I like to play. Get in a room with somebody I know, and I do the same with Tekken as well. Like I tend to know a lot of the better players, so if I want to get those games, I just ask. It's like, hey, you want to play 10, 20 matches, 30, whatever, and that's a lot. I don't know. For me, whenever I'm trying to play a game, that's a lot better than the ranked. But to each their own. A lot of people like ranked, I guess. So, but as long as you're playing, I guess is the point.
Yeah, I do think that I do think that playing online on a good connection with good players is more beneficial than like playing the computer. Like playing the computer is good because it's offline. Like I mean, if you don't have any scene or friends or like I don't know family that play it with you, and you want to know how it works offline, you got to play the computer. And it's good to an extent, but you know, aside from punishing and maybe a little bit of matchup knowledge, like you won't like you don't get any mind games going on the computer. That's the thing. But to get a general feel offline, it's better. But after you know how it is, you're still better off playing online with good players that actually adapt to what you do. And, you know, on a good connection, like on 5 bars, it's really, really, really good. Soul Calibur 5. It's borderline perfect.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad that you mentioned on that difference, because I do like where they're going with the ghost battles and stuff, because I notice like with certain characters or certain people, you know, whatever you want to call them, when the computer plays them, they have like random percentages, like for breaking a grab. You know, like if a certain player has a tendency to break Bs 60% of the time, then when you play them, they'll do that. It'll reflect that. But, you know, as you mentioned, even a player, if they have a certain tendency over 20, 30 matches to do one thing, when you play them and you get in their head, they might act completely differently. So
yes,
it's you know, it's one, I like how they're doing that. They're starting to incorporate those habits that players have, but yeah, playing an actual person is still very much different than playing a computer. So
yes.
So something to keep in mind. Before I forget, I was going to ask you about NEC. Now, you know, you went down there. You had a really good showing. What were the total number of entrants in the Soul Calibur tournament?
I think, well, actually, I know it was around 70. It was something in between 68 and 72, I'm pretty sure. And, yeah.
Nice. Which
around
is
70.
Which is really good, because I know a lot of people were, you know, as far as the boards are concerned, it seems like it's really dead, right? I mean, no updates are coming, you know, however you want to put it. But,
Yes.
I mean, that alone tells me that it's not dead. I mean, it's not Street Fighter, but you know what, 3D games, they don't pull the numbers that Street Fighter does. You know, they never will.
No, dude.
But
hell no, it's not dead at all.
Yeah.
It's not.
Which
it's actually reviving too. Like NEC was extremely good. Like everybody had a lot of fun. Well, from what I know, there was a lot of new players. There was a lot of old school players and like local champions and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Everybody had a blast, and everybody wants some more. And what was really surprising at NEC is that the top 4 was on the mainstream, and which was to me really unexpected. And we had a lot of non-Soul Calibur players watching and seemingly enjoying it, and actually like being hyped about it. Like, that was really cool. Like, that was the first time I saw that. For example, when I played in Toronto, we had, like, the top 4, we had, like, 4 people in the audience, and one guy trying to hype it up, which was really cool of him. But it was a bit depressing. But it was an amazing top 4. But, I mean, like, the hype wasn't there, even though the games were really hype as hell. But at NEC, it was really cool to see, like, not only all the Calibur players, but even, like, I guess Marvel and other players watching it and enjoying it. I would think usually they just, like, go watch your own stuff, and then really small community of Calibur players, they just, like, some of them stick there and watch it. But at NEC, it was really a good showing. Really good for community overall. I think, from what I've heard, the stream enjoyed it, and even like people from Europe, and I think some people from Asia actually watched it too. And I've been hearing some people are hyped to come to Final Round, which is the next big thing that's going to happen for Soul Calibur in the USA. So that's really good.
Well, and
like,
I don't know if it's still true, but I know that after Evo, when the Japanese players and everybody else, obviously it wasn't a Japanese or an American player that won the entire tournament, but I had heard that the Japanese players were saying that Soul Calibur was actually the most popular fighter at the time in Japan, which was really, or at least it might have been just the most popular 3D. I can't remember, but I found that was really surprising because mostly 3D for the most part has been dominated by either Tekken or Virtua Fighter, and especially Virtua Fighter in Japan. That game is huge, but I don't know if that's still the case. But it would really be. I don't think they've picked the games yet for Evo. Unless I missed that announcement, but it would be nice to see Calibur back there because even though I'm not like a great player or anything, I mean I still enjoy watching the game, and that really goes for anything. Like Marvel. I hate Marvel. I hate playing that game so much. I hate everything about that game. However, it is the hypest thing ever when people who know what they're doing are playing. It is crazy. So. But Street Fighter, on the other hand, is fucking boring. I don't know how people watch that game. That game is so boring. Like, I know exactly what's going on. It does not matter. The game is so boring. But but there are some games that are not like that at all. And I think Calibur falls into that category. I find it extremely entertaining to watch, especially high level. So hopefully that'll continue. And it seemed like it was that way in NEC, and it's really awesome to hear that people were getting hyped who didn't even play the game, because that bodes well for its future. Because that's really, when it comes down to it, even if 10 people play the game, if there's 10 million people watching those 10 guys, that's all you need, and the game is alive and well. So we got to keep that going. But with that, that's for the most part, that's all I got. So I always offer a little shout out segment for my guests. So if there's anything you want to put out there, anybody you want to thank, or I don't know, maybe there's just a random topic you want to talk about, the mic is yours. Whatever you want to say.
If I had to do shout outs, I'd give a shout out to my little brother because he's the one who plays with me. He's my offline competition, and he's really good. And yeah, pretty much all my offline experience that comes outside of tourneys is from him. And that's him. And then all my online buddies, Pyro Zamfir, UMAD Asteroid. Well, there's a lot of them, so I'm not going to name them all, but, thank you for helping me, making me a better player, especially in the early days of when the game came out. And finally, huge shout-outs to, everyone that came down for NEC and the awesome community of the Soul Calibur 5 players in general. I cannot say how great they are. Everyone should join in and join the fun. And it's not Calibur is the shit. I'm just gonna say that. I'm sorry, but even outside of that, these guys are just the greatest. And everyone should come down to the tournament, especially if you can. If it comes down to a choice, a matter of personal choice. Do it. You won't ever regret it. These guys are awesome. Playing Calibur or outside of playing Calibur, just hanging out. These guys are the best, and I can't wait to see you all again.
Nice. So when can we expect you again? Then are you coming down for a final round?
I really want to. Well, pretty much like I just said, if it was a matter of choice, I'd be 100% down. So right now, I'm just hoping I can make it between pretty much school and money and all that stuff. Like if everything's cool by then, by I think it's late March.
It's Easter weekend.
I will be there. Yes.
Easter weekend.
I will be there. I will definitely make everything I can do to be there. Hopefully I can make it.
Nice. So what's the next tournament then that you're 99% sure that you will be at? Like, I mean, I'm guessing you'll probably make it out for Evo. Is that the next one you're like for sure gonna be able to make, or is there something else that you've had your eye on that you think you're pretty sure you'll be able to make?
Well, my next one is final round, and Evo. First of all, I would only go if SoulCaliber would be there. Mm-hmm. And well, the thing is, I live pretty far, so I'm not. The sad thing is that there's nothing much going on in Canada for Caliber. Well, there's nothing going on in my province. The province is pretty much like a state in America, and but they're like a lot bigger, so it's a lot of traveling distance. So I can't say the next one I'm 100% going to be there. I want to say final round, like I really want to, but I'm only going to say like 90% chance I'm going to be there. Yeah, so that's final round.
So final round most likely, and then so let's say that that Caliber is at Evo. Is it one of those things that you would do everything humanly possible to get out there?
Oh yeah, definitely. And even if I had the funds for it, I'd definitely go to Winter Brawl. And pretty much, I know there's a lot of Caliber stuff going on in Philadelphia. And I'd be there like every time for like the Jacksonville Domes. I'd really like to be in one of those sometime. But like I said, between being busy at school or work and
now I can
money and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I definitely relate to that because I myself, as I kind of explained on the last podcast, but I've worked in retail probably my entire life. I'm not like a cashier or anything, but I just happen to work for a retail company. So I don't think in my entire life I've ever been able to make a November or December tournament. Like it's November, once it hits Thanksgiving, pretty much like I'm off. I have to X off everything just because we get so busy. So like NEC, I know. I can't remember when exactly Winter Brawl is, but I know there's at least a couple of East Coast tournaments that tend to happen around this time that unfortunately I've never really been able to make because of work. So I definitely understand how crappy that can be sometimes. And yeah, it'd be awesome if you come down for final round. I really would like to go this year, but for some reason, like I don't know what it is about big tournaments recently and like scheduling around holidays, but Easter, even though I'm not particularly religious or anything like that, Easter, like that weekend is still kind of like a big thing for my family, so I don't really know if I'll be able to cut out.
Sometimes you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, so this is a call to all tournament runners. Please stop scheduling stuff on holidays. It sucks because I can't go.
Definitely, if you can do something about it, do it. If you can't, you can. But if you can, make the extra effort and come down and join the fun.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. But for those who are curious, at least for me, I do. So far, it looks like a 99% chance that I'm going to be able to make it out to KIT, Kumite in Tennessee. I know that's typically like a big Tekken thing, but I'm fairly certain they have Caliber there as well. So,
I'll be watching that.
Yeah, so it should be, and I know it's part of the what do they call it? Whatever the circuit is called that they came up with, because NEC was part of it, and then I think that the winner of NEC was getting free entry into KIT, and then the winner of whatever games in KIT get entry into final round. So I know all of those guys are they're working trying to make the scene bigger and better, which is always a good thing. So
Oh yeah.
usually I end right there with the little shout out portion. But I do have a couple things that I want to end the podcast on, because if you've stayed with us this far or this long, then you are a true listener, and I value your opinion. So with that being said, we still have a bunch of characters left to do. Usually, I check tournament results, I watch streams, and I always consult with any top player that I can, to see who the best guest for a particular character might be. But with that being said, we do have to kind of pander to fans a little bit. So if there's anybody particularly that you're particularly fond of for any character, definitely shout it out. Let us know. And I'll reach out to that person and see if I can get them onto the podcast, because I know a few people have already done this, and I do write those down whenever somebody throws out a suggestion. So I'm not ignoring you, I promised. It's just one of those things where we can only do one character at a time. So we'll get to it eventually. But keep them coming. Keep the suggestions coming, especially if there are maybe players out there that are really, really good, but people just don't know the names yet or anything like that. I'm always interested in hearing from those kinds of players. And then secondly, and this just so you can probably turn the podcast off right now, because if you're only interested in Caliber, because this has absolutely nothing to do with Caliber. But I do have a favor to ask of everybody, and it's my podcast, so I'm going to kind of do some shameless self-promotion right now. But I wrote a book. It has absolutely zero to do with Caliber or gaming or any of that. So I just want to put that that little warning there before I continue. But for those who listen, I do want to ask a huge favor of all of you out there. I'll put a link up to it. I self-published it on Amazon, kind of the same way that I'm trying to think of. God, who was it who self-published the Patroclus? Why can't it? Drake. Sorry,
that was Drake Alden.
Yeah, Drake Alden. Yeah, I pretty much did the same route that he did with Amazon, except obviously his is Caliber related. Mine is not. It's just a fiction book. However, I'm not asking for you to buy it. You don't have to spend a dime, although it is pretty cheap, so it would be awesome if you'd buy it. If you want a free electronic copy, I can actually give it to you. I can't put it up for download anywhere, just because of the agreement that I have to sign off on with Amazon. But I can give it to you, like in a Word document or whatever, if you're really interested in reading it. But even if not, I would like to ask a favor. If you have an Amazon.com account, again, I'll put the link up for you. I'd like you to go to the page and sign into your Amazon.com account and just click the like button. Just like Facebook, Amazon added a like button to all of their items. It helps me get exposure. And unlike a review, it's not fake or anything like that. You're just, throwing out your support there. So there's no policy or anything like that against likes. And you do have to be signed in order to do it, because, just to prevent the whole fraud kind of misclicks and stuff like that. They want to make sure that you're an actual person as opposed to a bot trying to do that stuff. But if you could do that for me, that would be amazing. Again, I know it's a little shameless on my part to do that, but just trying to spread the word. And again, it has nothing to do with Caliber. Just a favor that I'd like to ask for all my fans and listeners. But that's it. That's all I got. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Again, I'm actually a little bit surprised of how early I was able to get this next episode out. So I don't know when I'll get the next one. But I do have my next couple guests lined up. So we got those taken care of. I just got to get the time free to get them out there. So we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
Hey, you mind if I say one last thing?
Oh, no, absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, I give some shout-outs to all the awesome people at NEC, but I just want to say extra shout-outs, specials to Partisan, which is my Canadian buddy represent. Well, I'm pretty much his Canadian buddy because he's known as the Alpha Canadian or whatever. And definitely Great One, which is like, his name suits him so well. He's the greatest. He's like the most important person in the community. Thank you so much for helping us out, making it, and rooming us, and everything. And finally, Hawkeye, which is like the greatest person ever. That's all I got to say about him.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
No, and just to add on to that, thanks for to anyone who does anything on the forums to keep it alive. I mean, that's what you have to do. Even if you're not playing or whatever, as long everybody has life stuff that they got to do, and for some people this isn't a competitive thing; it's a hobby. They just enjoy the game. But thanks for doing whatever it is you're doing to keep the scene alive and helping each other out. The FGC, we have a lot of drama sometimes, and we have some issues. However, I'd like to think that we're one of the better communities when it comes to helping people out. Excuse me. Like, when it comes to like people who go to lands and stuff like that, I don't really hear the kind of stories of help and assistance that I do when I'm looking up the FGC. And I mean, we're a small community. We have our own drama, but it's kind of like siblings. You get into fights every once in a while. Maybe you duke it out, but eventually it all works itself out. And we're all here for the same purpose. So glad you added that there at the end. But yeah, again with that, I think that's all we got. Unless you wanted to add anything else before I could turn it off.
Well, I don't really. Well, sorry to have cut you off before. I wasn't sure you were going to ask me in the end. So. Oh
no, that's okay.
I pretty much said it.
No, I just like to make sure I'm thorough, and that this is I like to use this kind of as a platform for all my guests. So if there's anything you guys want to say, I'm more than happy to stop and let people hear it. But with that, if you got everything off your chest that you wanted to, I got nothing else. So thanks everyone for listening and tuning in. I hope you're enjoying these podcasts. So for Reptile and myself, thank you for listening, and we will catch you guys next time.
Thank you.